Today, Wall Street is likely to have a volatile session amid political uncertainty. On the back of the midterm elections in the United States, the cautious optimism could evolve into anxiety at least. Why? InstaForex analysts know the answer. As expected, the stock market traded under cautious optimism on a Tuesday. US stock closed with modest gains. On the election day in the United States, investors were discussing the political gridlock, hoping for a new rally on Wall Street. Amid such hopes, the Dow Jones climbed 1.02% yesterday, the Nasdaq rose a modest 0.49% and the S&P 500 gained 0.56% to close at 3,828 points. The US stock market opened on Wednesday with a waning optimism. The New York pre-market was spoiled by the lack of clarity as the crypto market dampened the risk-on mood. The benchmark stock indexes traded sluggishly and slightly lower. Amid fundamentals, the New York session might have either highly volatile trading without a clear trajectory or develop a rally after the market finds out the election words. Despite a muted upward move, the major stock indexes closed yesterday in the green for 3 sessions straight. Unlike other financial markets, Wall Street looks like a quiet harbor. However, it's just the lull before the storm, which will be triggered by fresh US inflation data on Thursday. Until the inflation data is released, market sentiment depends on the political news. Wall Street is braced for a political gridlock if the Republican Party wins the majority in Congress. This could fuel a sharp rally in the bearish stock market. To sum up, the midterm elections are viewed as the event which will either prop up or ruin the stock market. If the Republicans obtain the majority in the House of Representatives, such prospects could dampen inflation. Indeed, it means that the Democrats will not be able to pass bills on humongous financial aid. Thus, the announcement of a precise vote is sure to give a fresh impetus to Wall Street. Meanwhile, traders are absorbing the news from the corporate sector. Elon Musk sold 10.5 billion of his Tesla shares worth near $4 billion after the Twitter deal had been completed. Since the time when the Twitter purchases deal was announced, Elon Musk has sold Tesla shares worth almost $20 billion. In response, Tesla shares closed on Tuesday 2.9% down. All in all, they have slumped by 46% this year. On Wednesday, Tesla stock rebounded from its lows by 0.8% in the pre-market. The stocks of companies with a mega capitalization traded mixed in the New York pre-market today. Investors are the most optimistic about the company of Mark Zuckerberg. Today, Meta begins layoffs for some of its 87,000 employees. The extent of layoff will be known later today. The news was announced by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who admitted that his optimism caused rebounded thin. While the outcome of the midterm elections is unclear, the US dollar is regaining its footing following a 3% plunge over the last 3 sessions. The US dollar index rebounded to levels above 110 points, and today the index has climbed 0.5%. It's expected to trade in the intraday corridor between 109.60 and 110.70. The potential political deadlock in the US is blamed for the US dollar's weakness against its rival currencies. The index shortly awaited the uncomfortable level of 109. Political jitters in Washington are bearish for the US currency. Tighter control of bills on a budget spending could tame inflation. In turn, this will assure the US Fed to soften its stance. The resilience of the Democrats and mixed interim results encouraged the US dollar's confident recovery. Apart from the elections, a sharp decrease in the risk-on mood on the back of another roller coaster in the crypto market reminded traders that the US dollar has always been a safe haven asset. Hence, traders are shifting focus back to the greenback. Besides, the US inflation data ahead will serve as a catalyst for the US dollar's rally. The recovery in the US dollar and the considerable decline in oil prices negated the chance for the luny's growth. The Canadian dollar is losing ground against its American rival, having shed 0.18%. The USD card pair is likely to trade in the corridor between 1.3380 and 1.3490 today. The loonie is showing stronger resilience than other major currencies. The Canadian dollar owes its strength to the healthy economic conditions in Canada and the hawkish Bank of Canada. At the same time, the loonie will find it hard to consolidate gains. The commodity-dependent loonie is hurt by another decline in oil quotes. On Tuesday, the benchmark oil grades lost almost 3% and extended the fall. Mounting pessimism in the oil market is caused by the data that the US oil inventories rose more than expected. Another headwind is a resurgence of COVID cases in China, which will decrease demand for energy. Brent crude futures slipped 0.6% on Wednesday to trade at $94.75 a barrel. On Tuesday, the crypto market went into a tailspin. All cryptocurrencies plummeted following the news that Binance plans to buy Key, its rival FTX crypto exchange, in the latest bailout. In a response, the native FTX token plunged by 84%, and BNB, the native Bitcoin, sank by 9%. According to CoinMarketCap, the overall value of the crypto sector shrank by 12%. Bitcoin tumbled by 11%. After the gloomy Tuesday, the crypto market is set to close with a dismal results on Wednesday. Bitcoin again came under pressure in the early American session and lost another 6% to trade at 17,540. Ethereum printed heavy losses on Tuesday and Wednesday and reached 1,222, the lowest level since July. Solana, Ripple, and Litecoin also through massive sell-offs. Amid such fundamentals, the best-case scenario for Bitcoin is a bounce above 18,200. In the worst case, the asset is expected to trade in the range between $17,000 and $18,000 and could even drop to $16,500. The outlook for the New York session today is grim. However, sentiment on Wall Street could brighten up due to some changes in the US politics. Make prudent trading decisions and don't give in to emotional bursts. In fact, the markets are currently overwhelmed by the nerves. Good luck and see you tomorrow.